Hello, my lovely Misfitians, and welcome back to another video. So I'm going to apologize in advance. I probably sound very congested, and I'm also trying a new mic setup. But basically, this past week, right after the election, my whole family got some sort of crud, and we have been fighting a cold. Baby boy has it, hubby has it, and I unfortunately have it too. So I didn't want to just skip this week. I wanted to put a video out. So I'm going to be using a lot of old footage for this week, but I still think it would be very helpful for anyone who is specifically looking for Christmas presents for themselves or the artist in their family. So the very first thing that I'm going to say is, since I've become a mom, I don't have very much time. And that's probably like a duh statement of, yeah, Carrie, I can imagine. It's very, very true that once you become a mom, it's basically a full-time job, and I love every minute of it. But that being said, I don't have as much time to be creative like I used to. So I have to think of ways to force myself to be creative, or else I start to get kind of draggy and kind of depression-y, because I'm not using my creative outlet. I really have to be mindful of every day trying to take time to myself to put out a little bit of creativity. And one way that I've been doing that is working in watercolor journals. So in the past, I typically didn't like to work in watercolor journals because I personally like to really perfect my drawings and really get them down to basically how I saw them in my head. And then I would transfer them to a higher quality watercolor paper. But I don't have time to do that now. So I have been working a lot recently in watercolor journals. And I'm going to be sharing with you 3 that I really, really enjoy. And then I'll tell you at the end which one I like the most based on my own personal preference. So the first one I'm going to be recommending is Paul Rubens watercolor paper. It is hot press watercolor paper, so it's very, very smooth. But in my opinion, it's not like a typical hot press. It actually acts more like the soft press paper that I used a long time ago that has actually been discontinued now. And I really love that paper because it kind of was a happy median between both cold press and hot press. And I think if you're a beginner and you don't want to spend a lot of money, this particular journal, which you can buy on Amazon, is very, very affordable, but also gives you really nice quality paper. Now, I will say the cons to this particular journal is I find the binding does not hold up very well. So the longer you use it, the more it kind of falls apart and stuff. But for the price, I feel like it's totally worth it. Especially if you like doing line work like me, or you like doing pencil work. The paper is really smooth, but still has basically enough of that kind of cold press feel to absorb color really well, where it's not like sitting on top of the paper like hot press typically does. The next journal that I'm going to recommend is the Bahong, I believe that's how you say it, journal. This one, in my opinion, is nicer than the Paul Rubens. It's a little bit bigger too, and you can get it in more of a leather look. This, once again, is also hot press paper. I feel like this is more of a traditional hot press paper. So if you don't like hot press paper, you might not like this particular journal because, in my opinion, it's a little bit more sleeker, so the colors are going to sit more on top and then create more of those unique textures that hot press paper is known for. That being said, I really like how smooth this paper is for inking and for pencil work, and also the size of it. The size is really nice. It's a nice travel size journal, which you can fit in like a little bag, but at the same time, it's larger than the Paul Rubens one. So it's going to allow you to draw larger areas or larger illustrations and use up more of that paper compared to the Paul Rubens, which I feel is more of a smaller, I would say 5x7 size. And then this other one is just a little bit larger. I would say an inch larger on either side. I'm not sure the exact dimensions, but Definitely the Bahong one is a little bit larger, and it's not bad for the price. When you're comparing against the Paul Rubin one is definitely a lot cheaper. So if you're a newbie, I would definitely start with the Paul Rubin. But if you want to play around with more of a hot pressed texture, but you don't want to spend a lot of money on the higher end quality papers, this particular journal, I believe, gives you kind of the best of both worlds. It's cheap for watercolor paper in a journal, say, but if you're looking for more of that cold press feel, this is not going to be the journal that you're going to want. And finally, the last journal that I'm going to recommend is the Humm Mule. I believe I'm saying that correctly. I apologize if I'm butchering these names. Just please forgive me. I'm trying my best today because I just feel really sick. But this particular journal, if you like cold press paper, and specifically if you like kind of Arches cold press paper, but you want it in a journal form, this particular journal I find is most comparable to Arches, but yet it still is not as expensive as Arches. So I have used this a little bit. For me personally, I haven't used it as much as I would probably like to, because it does have more of a cold press feel to it. And as most of you know, I like more of the hot press feel to watercolor paper. That being said, this one is still smooth enough of a cold press paper that it still allows you to add ink work and to really build up those drawings with detail, mixed media specifically. But at the same time, the watercolor paper is thick enough that it's not going to bleed through, and it's going to allow you to layer up on top of one another and not really ruin your paper. So those are the 3 watercolor journals that I find myself constantly going back to over the years. Which one would be my number 1 spot? My number 1 would actually be the Paul Rubens. For me personally, I find myself continually going back to Paul Rubens paper. I just really like how the paper works. It just really meshes well with my particular style, where it gives a little bit of absorbency, kind of that cold press feel for your watercolors. So it gives you a lot of control, but then at the same time, it's smooth enough that it allows you to add ink work as well as pencil work on top without running up against those bumps of cold press paper. My second favorite would be the Humm Mule. That particular one I feel like is bound really nice. So if you want a journal that is going to last, in my opinion, the Humm Mule is going to last you a lot longer than these other 2. And the paper is really good quality. So if you're looking for more of a timeless journal that is more of that cold press, really nice quality paper, the Humm Mule is definitely a better pick, I would say. And then my third favorite would be the Bahong one. That one would be probably my third favorite. I love all 3 of these journals. So if they go on sale, I'm typically buying them just to kind of have an extra journal on hand in my repertoire of tools in my art studio. So I don't want you walking away thinking Carrie doesn't like any of these journals. No, these would be my top 3 of all the watercolor journals that I have ever used. And I've used quite a bit. These 3 are the ones that stood out to me the most, that I felt most comfortable with painting on and fit my style the most. So hopefully that helps you in trying to maybe find a watercolor journal that you prefer to use maybe for the holiday season or for next year when you start getting back into your groove. I know the holidays, it's really hard to get into painting unless you're doing gifts or you're doing little cards for people. It's hard to do your own creative stuff. But be on the lookout for these, especially if they go on sale. They're really good gifts to give to people if you know an artist in your family, especially one who's into watercolor with mixed media. And if you just want to gift yourself something nice too. Now, that being said, I did this video a little bit differently, you're going to notice. Usually I add music in the background, but I have noticed in recent, I would say years, a lot of people have stopped using the music in the background and have just put the voiceover. over top, and unfortunately you're getting this particular one when I have a horrible voice because I'm so congested. But I did want to ask y'all for this particular week, do you prefer me having the music in the background, or do you prefer no music with just voiceover? That's going to be the question for this week. That will help me decide what to do for future videos. And if you do want music, let me know what kind of music you would like as background music. Do you want more of a classical type of music or a folk type of music where it has more of a guitar sounding thing? I know you would want more background music. A lot of you said on the last video that the music was very distracting. So usually I just pick stuff that helps me kind of focus, but at the same time, I want y'all to be able to enjoy the videos as well. So if you want music in the background, let me know what kind of music you would prefer or you have liked from other people. And please leave comments down below. I'm going to be reading those and making a basically informed decision based on what y'all suggest for the next videos that are coming up, if I add music or if I don't. So lots of love, y'all. I really hope that you are having a good time and that y'all aren't sick. It really is sucky that I have to be sick close to the holidays. I hate when I'm sick close to the holidays because it just kind of puts a damper on things. But thankfully, we have a couple more weeks before Thanksgiving, so hopefully I've kicked this before Thanksgiving comes up. Anyway, lots of love, y'all, and make sure to follow me on Facebook and Instagram. I'm going to be asking y'all to name animals in the near future. I didn't do it this week because I wanted to specifically ask y'all about the music in the background and also kind of the setup of the videos in the future. So anyway, lots of love once again, and I will talk to you soon. Bye.